When will you make a choice for you? When will you make a choice for you to actually be free? The toxicity isn't going to stop. He's not going to leave you. He's not going to move out of the house, even though it's in your name. He doesn't care. He's just continuing to move forward, being like, it's fine. I don't need to do anything for myself. Don't need to work on myself. Don't need to change myself. He'll continue to stay. He'll pretend to change. He'll pretend to be different. He'll pretend to go to therapy. He'll go to therapy, manipulate the therapist. All of these things will happen, and he won't actually change because a narcissist is typically unwilling to acknowledge the truth. Do you want to know the hard truth about this reality? Oftentimes, so are you. Oftentimes, you are unwilling to actually see the facts that are in the situation because of the trauma, because of the bond, because of the abuse, because of the cognitive dissonance, because of the gaslighting. Sometimes you are unwilling to actually see that this person does not care, does not respect, does not love you because you've been sold lies. You've been sold an alternate version of reality from a toxic person that is meant to keep you sedated, that is meant to keep you down, that is meant to keep you in the fog, because if he can keep you confused, you will never leave. How long will you stay? How long will you justify what he's doing to you? The harmful words that he's saying, how he's degrading and putting you down in front of the kids, how it's affecting and distracting you from your work, how it's giving you sleepless nights. Sometimes people are surprised when I ask about how is this impacting you physically over the past 2, 5, 30 years. Sometimes people are surprised. They're like, why would you even ask that? I'm like, well, it's a trend. If you've been with a narcissist, the level of stress that you've endured oftentimes means you're going to have autoimmune. You're going to have gut issues. You're going to have sleepless nights. You're going to be tired. You're going to be drained. You're going to be exhausted because of the stress that you've been in. You're not going to be able to sleep. You're going to have weight gain. You're going to have weight loss. You're going to be eating because you don't know what to do. You're not going to be eating because you don't have an appetite because of the abuse that's actually happening. Your hair starts falling out. Unexplained hair loss. You're like, I don't know what's going on. The doctors don't know what's going on. You've tried to get help. They can't figure it out because of the trauma that's happening. It starts to show in your body and it starts to reek through every single aspect of your life. The hard part is some of you might be thinking either one, that you're going to change him. Maybe you've been the fixer in your family. You've been the healer. You've been the person that has helped nurse other people back to health or fix them. And you think you can do the same thing with this person. You can't. You can't change him. You can't force him. Sometimes you think the healing's going to come just if you're away from him long enough. So you've been no contact for 30 days. It's great. You've been no contact for 6 months, for a year, and you still obsess about him. You still pain shop by logging on, looking at social media, maybe through a dummy account so you don't get caught. You still think about him. He still takes up your thought process, real estate in your mind. You're still stuck mentally and emotionally. And when you try to move on and you try to get into another relationship just to maybe see, am I healed yet? Maybe this is working. You get triggered every single time and you're not sure how to be able to move through it. Time doesn't heal all wounds. Knowing everything about narcissism doesn't heal all wounds. If you watch all of my videos, all of Dr. Ramani's videos, all of Lee's videos, it won't heal you because there has to be an action that comes from it. There has to be a change. There has to be a transformation that actually starts inside of you, saying that you're willing to get real, understand the facts of the situation, and ultimately be free. Otherwise, you do not know the depths that this could go to. I don't say it just for a shock factor. I say it because this is reality. It's an article. He got up the next day. He killed his 11-year-old son. He murdered himself. He committed suicide, burned down the house. The 11-year-old daughter barely got out alive. And some of you think that it's okay that he hits you. And some of you justify the abuse that you're in. It's not that bad. He didn't hit me. He just mentally abuses me. He just sexually abused me. He just emotionally abused me. When will you make a choice for you? When will you make a choice that says you actually deserve something more than the shit you've been put through over and over and over again? Many of you are stuck still in or out of the relationship. It doesn't matter. Many of you are still stuck in the trauma bond. Maybe you're stuck with the obsessive thinking. Maybe you're stuck with the place where you're away from the person, you're away from the toxic person, and you have a sense of peace because this person isn't actively in your life abusing you, but you still don't have peace. You still don't have joy because you're still haunted by the memories, by the thoughts, by a car that drives by that makes your heart beat faster because you're scared. Makes you think you can't ever be free of the triggers that are continually controlling you over and over and over again. When will you make a choice for you? A choice to be free. It's two options for you to help with that. One coming up in 2 days. We have a Black Friday sale coming up where you can get the Clarity Challenge on sale so you can actually start walking through the process of breaking that trauma bond. The other option is you're like, hey, I want to start right now. I want to figure this out. What can I do? Then on Instagram, I want you to shoot me a DM. DM me the words break free. Don't put it in the comments. It'll get lost in this. Either right now or when we get off, shoot me a DM and I'll reach out to you. See where you're at. Walk through what's actually going on. Try to figure out how we can actually help you break free. Because if you don't break free, you will be stuck. You will go back to a toxic person over and over and over again. There's not a release. There's not this magic of it healing, of it getting fixed. This person that you're with continues to do the same things over and over again. How often will you excuse them away? How often will you put them down? Not thinking, not acknowledging of how this is actually abuse. So I want you to take a moment and I want you to just sit there. Just sit there as you're watching this video. Just sit there for a moment. And even sit there and close your eyes if you're alone. And as you sit there with your eyes closed, I want you to picture the time frame that you've been with this person. Maybe it's a month, maybe it's a year, maybe it's 10, maybe it's 30. I want you to picture in your mind the time frame. The time that you've been with this person and everything that's ensued from the moment you met this person to the current spot that you are now. And in your mind, I want you to kind of consider this time frame and what's actually fallen along this time frame of the things that have actually affected you. How has this had an impact on your mental and your emotional health? How has this had an impact on your kids? How has this had an impact on your physical body? How has this had an impact on your calling? Who you actually are? How has this impacted your work environment? How has this impacted how you function on a day-to-day basis? Now, I want you to sit there for a moment and just count the cost. The cost of this toxic relationship has finally cost you and continues to cost you every single day that you stay and will continue to cost you forever until you make a decision. You might be listening today and you're like, I don't even know how I could go no contact, how I could break up with him. I get that. And I'm not asking you to do that in this moment. I'm asking you to make a decision for you. That means taking a step forward in your healing. Taking a step forward in understanding and acknowledging that you actually matter. That you're worth so much more than the abuse that has been laid upon you over and over and over again. You're worth so much more than what you've been sold. The reality that you can't do anything, that you're not good enough, that your opinions don't matter. take a step for you.